Sunshine State, where winter seems almost non-existent. It's a perfect playground for sport, and the Queenslanders love their motor racing. Fitting that the next stop on the tour is here. The intensity set to ramp up as this exciting season hits the halfway mark, and the diverse on-track offering caters to every enthusiast, including the major new draw card, Car Sales TCR Australia, the global turbocharged touring car formula now wowing audiences down under. Get ready for round 4 of the Shannon's Nationals, live from Queensland Raceway. This venue really lends itself to these cars. It's a great little amphitheatre to enjoy close competition, and that is what we are going to get this afternoon. If qualifying was any guide, we're going to have a fabulous afternoon of racing. Hi everybody, Greg Ruston, Aaron Noonan with you live here on SBS, round 4 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. The Bureau says we're headed for highs of 25 degrees this afternoon, 23 right now. Magic for motorsport.
When you're from the southern states this time of year, it's good to get the white arms out and get some of this sun. Really looking forward to this. We had a really tight qualifying session, getting ready for round 4. Can't wait.
We said in the introduction there that it's the midpoint, so why don't we bounce through some of the key stories as we look firstly at the championship standings. Can anybody catch this youngster with so much character, Will Brown?
I think there's one guy who could really challenge Will Brown this weekend, and that's Will Brown. He's made some mistakes so far in the first 3 rounds of this series, but he's managed to get away with them and salvage results, salvage podium positions and big points. He can't afford to make a mistake here this weekend because there's a competitive field and everybody's starting to learn these cars more. 125 points the margin back to James Moffat. That Renault with a couple of podiums in the last round at the Bend. It's a factor, but he's a fair way behind.
The cars are all balanced with certain performance measures, but they do have little things that set them apart from their rivals. And we've seen some movement in recent weeks in terms of drivers and teams. A new Kiwi recruit joining the series.
It's like football, isn't it? There's ins and outs in every round of TCR. Jordan Mickles makes his debut this weekend driving the wall racing Honda Civic Type R that Jordan Cox drove in the last round at the Bend Motorsport Park in South Australia. He's New Zealand Formula 4 champ. He's driven a TCR car in New Zealand before, but this is his first time at this sort of level in Australia, so he's learning the ropes.
And we have a wonderful benchmark for our drivers in our debut season. A guy with an enormous amount of experience in this class at international level. He's kind of raised the bar here, hasn't he?
Jean-Carl Venet, JK Venet, he's been the man in not just the Audi that Garth Tander drove in the last round, but he's put it on pole position. So the Australians and the Kiwis are really upset because he's grabbed the $1,000 cheque that goes with it and the 2 series points. He's making a one-off start. He doesn't care about the points, but they're all chasing the Frenchman today.
Now, we have, of course, been enjoying immense growth in this series. All kinds of headlines, of course, and a brilliant one coming up with a move, of course, to Albert Park and a premier event next year.
To have TCR part of the Formula 1 Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park in Melbourne is sensational news. It will be a big way for TCR in Australia to start 2020, and that's, I guess, a real statement of fact for this series and where it's going and what it's done in this very short period of time that it's going to be on this sort of platform next year.
All right, on that note, why don't we just for a moment give you a little slice of a special catch-up that we're going to have tomorrow as a part of our coverage with the Managing Director of the series, Matt Bray, just on some of the things that are in the pipeline for TCR Australia. Take a look.
We just wanted to do the best we could here, and there's been a lot of people doing a lot of hard work to get it to where it is. The point of difference that TCR brings to the motor racing landscape in Australia has already been demonstrated. We just want to make sure that gets pushed a bit harder and probably ramped up in some aspects. From an event perspective, the Grand Prix was a great one to have, and we'll sort of open the TCR season in Australia, I guess, is the best way to put it at this stage, because we are in discussions about, with Marcello Lotti, when he was out at Phillip Island, potentially talking about a regional opportunity with Australia, New Zealand and Asia. So the Grand Prix does fit that.
And we'll bring you that in full tomorrow during our massive coverage of races 2 and 3. But I think the underlying thing to come out of that there is that our involvement, not just as Australia or New Zealand, a bit of a sort of Asian feel about what's going to happen in 2020, isn't there?
This region is growing all the time with TCR Racing and New Zealand Series next year. Now the Albert Park event announced. Plenty of good stuff in the pipeline. And, I mean, what TCR Australia's already done in this first season, we're at round 4. I think it's already gone as well as anyone could have imagined.
All right, he's about to bolt to the commentary box. We will bring you some interviews from the grid here before we go racing. Lots of news, of course. That'll be covered during the race by Cameron Vanderdugen and our own Emma Francesco, who we say good afternoon to now.
Chelsea, Angelo, I know that you're disappointed to be on the sidelines this week, and it really hasn't been the greatest start to your year.
Yeah, look, it obviously hasn't been the way that we wanted it to plan out this year. We have obviously taken a step back for this weekend at QR, but looking into the future will help us jump that 2 steps that we need for the rest of the season. So we're hoping to be back in the car for round 5 at Winton, but we've got Andre in the Astra, and it looks like the Astras are going quite well this weekend. So hopefully they'll get the cars up there a bit more, and hopefully we can do well at Winton.
I know that you're not out there this weekend and you haven't had some great luck, but are you enjoying it? Because these cars look like a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I'm actually quite enjoying, being off on the sidelines, but also learning more about the mechanical side of the cars and watching them go around and all that. Just there's a lot more behind the scenes that a lot of drivers may not know about, so it's always good to get in there and hustle and do some more hard work.
Thanks, Charles. Hope to see you back at Winton.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I'm on the front row with a guy who was smiling brightly at the last round of the championship in South Australia, John Martin. This Honda is going to do battle with an international star. You up for this afternoon?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just having a quick chat to him before. I think we've raced a few times before on A1GP and Formula 3 over the day, so it's not our first encounter, but no, it should be good. And it's pretty awesome. I think it's pretty good for our championship as well. Obviously he's on the front row, but he's done so much of this, and to see so many cars so close, I think it's a good thing and a good sign for our championship too, that we're able to run with a person of his calibre. It's been a huge learning curve for everyone involved in this, from teams to drivers. How much did that last time out at South Australia help you, coming into Queensland? Yeah, it's obviously a massive bonus, and motorsport, like most sports, is all a confidence game. So, got a lot of confidence out of South Australia, but we're learning every time. We're still learning a lot of things through practice and qualifying here. So it's just, it's still a massively steep learning curve, which is good. Good on you. Cheers. Cam?
Yeah, I've got Barry Rogers here at the moment. Baz, no Renaults on the grid. Can you tell us what's happened since qualifying?
Yeah, okay. So in qualifying, Chris Pither had an overheating problem with the number 33 car. So, look, we didn't want to go detonating an engine, so we decided to change the engine, and it's not a simple... a lot of gear getting off the old engine to put on the new one before you put it in, and hopefully it gets out there during the race just to make sure she's right for tomorrow. And before I'm off, we rolled the car out of the garage and went to fire it up, and she wouldn't fire. By the time we reset all the ECU and got it all right, she was 1 minute past 2, so we stuck it in the pit lane and hoping for an early safety car.
Now, the other thing, we've seen some wonderful footage of every driver in your garage basically helping out with that engine change as well. Amazing camaraderie in the team. Yeah, it is. And look, probably led by Gary from the top. We're sort of a team where we like to get everyone involved. I'm actually standing in front of Jordan Cox's car here. He's a mechanic, so it was pretty handy during the Spanish getting toured around in there. So, really good. The camaraderie is great. So, anyway, push on from here. Staying on that very quickly with Jordan Cox here as well, this is not something just new, is it, bringing him over? He came into the garage. You guys had a look at Jordan Cox, about 3 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah, actually, the boys at work, one of our guys that's worked for us for a long time, is mad into sports sedans, has raced with Jordan in sports sedans. He kept talking about him in the lunchroom, and, everybody knows a race car driver, we know that, and we're in Adelaide, it might have been 3 years ago, and we're watching the little... what are those cars called? Production cars whizzing around the place, and you might have been in the race, Cameron, actually, thinking about it. And Jordan was there taking on the little big V8, his little Honda, and the boys got pretty excited, so I went and found him afterwards and brought him down and introduced him to Garth and all the boys in the garage. And so anyway, a few years later, here he is.
All right, mate. Well, good luck for Jordan, and let's go and catch up with Rusty.
Second row of the grid is one of the bright stars of TCR Australia. He had a bit of a blow in points terms last time out in South Australia, and he's keen to make amends for that. Dylan O'Keefe, you're in good shape, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, we showed we had good old tyre pace yesterday in practice. I was surprised how tight qualifying was. That was pretty cool. So, I mean, we're looking like it's going to be a tight fight in this race. So, hopefully it runs green the whole way through. And, I mean, our car should be strong at the start and at the finish. So, pretty excited to get this one underway.
A couple of us went down and watched the action in practice at Turn 1 yesterday. I reckon it's going to be a great place for action this afternoon, not just on the opening lap.
Yeah, I mean, the cars get a bit wild over the bumps at Turn 1, so you got to hang on to it. But, there's a lot of time to be made at the first two corners because it's high speed and the cars have got a lot of aero, so you really got to commit to it.
All right, there he is. He's been doing great things in all sorts of classes this year. And we're going to christen him a new nickname this weekend. When that helmet's off, he looks a bit like Peter Parker, the Spider-Man. Watch for Dylan O'Keefe this afternoon.
Yeah, actually, just threw Tony D'Alberto in the car, and then we've come down here as well. Tony, mate, it really is shaping up to be an elbows-out race around Queensland Raceway.
Especially when you got the Enforcer right next door to you. Look, we saw really close times in qualifying. Car's feeling really good, but, I think we're going to have a little bit of luck and maybe get our elbows out to get a result here today.
These cars in front of you as well, Dylan O'Keefe and Will Brown, they've really been consistently quick. Is it a matter of just tacking onto the back of those guys and pushing late in this race for the win?
Oh, look, they're annoyingly quick, aren't they, these young blokes? But, yeah, doing a great job this year. They've got their heads around these things probably a little bit better than we have at the moment. But, look, we just get the thing off the line nicely and see where we end up after a few laps. And once the race settles, hopefully we've got a really nice race car.
Good luck, TD.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
I'm on the second row of the grid with Will Brown, championship leader. There is a Frenchman up in front of you, and you are ready to play hardball here, aren't you?
Yeah, it'll be good. It's exciting to have him out here. Obviously won the European Championship, but yeah, we're not going to let him beat us, that's for sure. We'll make it hard. I've been geeing John up to try and, put on a good first lap and see if we can shuffle him a bit.
That's good. We sense that in you, but you have a healthy points lead here. Will, that's not something you're thinking about this afternoon?
We're going for battle this one. We're going to have a good one. It'll be good. We're not going for the championship. We're racing hard.
All right, there you go. We're going to leave him to it. And just moments ago, he got a little wave, a little wish of good luck from none other than Chaz Mostert here on the grid.
Well, I've got Andre Heimgartner, who's switched marks. He was in a Subaru, now in a Holden. Now, Andre, you've done a good job, but I'm sure you're expecting much bigger things in this race.
Yeah, well, I've already moved up a couple of positions, so that's positive. But yeah, in the qualifying session, we're pretty much as fast as anyone apart from through turn 2. Just our gear ratio seems to be a bit wrong. Either it's too low or it's too high. So hopefully in this race here, we'll be able to race with them and race forward.
Good luck, Andre.
Thank you.
Bit of a swap for Andre Heimgartner, the Kiwi who drives a Nissan in supercars. A step from the Subaru into the Holden Astra, so he's been jumping around the cars this year. Qualifying today, unbelievably close. 0.11 of a second between the top 5 cars on the grid and just over 6/10 with the top dozen on the grid. Let's take a look at the qualifying highlights from earlier today, round 4 of the car sales TCR Australia Series here at Queensland Raceway. And the pole position changed unbelievably so many times during the half-hour session. Dylan O'Keefe was always a contender in the Alfa Romeo. Problem for Jason Bright, but a great job by his team to just get him on the track for the last 10 minutes of the session. Off the road, Jordan Mickles, the young Kiwi, starts from position 15 in the Wall Racing Honda Civic Type R. Leanne Tander off the road down at turn 3 in car number 3. Her third appearance in TCR in this Melbourne Performance Centre car. She'll start from 13th. Jason Bright buckled in the Task Force Volkswagen Golf, the winner of the first ever TCR Australia Series race, and managed to get on the road. John Calvinet was out there making speed. Never been to Queensland Raceway before, but he knows his way around the inside of an Audi TCR touring car. In the end, he grabbed pole position, but this guy made him work for it. John Martin, the Honda Civic Type R, a winner last time out at the Ben Motorsport Park. Jordan Cox on board the Alfa Romeo for the first time. Ran a little wide at turn 1, trying to find the limits. Well, he found them. He was off the road. He ended up qualifying 8th. And J.K. Benet, the Frenchman, former Indy Light Series champion in the US, a French Porsche Carrera Cup champion and a TCR International Series winner, ended up with the pole. So for the first time this year, it's an Audi on pole position. 4 different drivers and 4 different cars with the 4 poles so far this year in the category. John Martin on the front row. Will Brown, the points leader from Dylan O'Keefe. Russell Ingall just a 10th away in his second appearance in TCR in the Audi. Then Tony Delberto, Aaron Cameron, Jordan Cox, James Moffat and Andre Heimgartner. Dramas, of course, though, we mentioned for James Moffat, that Renault, I can see from my commentary position, is still in pit lane with the bonnet up. Let's have a look at this track. Queensland Raceway, 3.12 kilometres. It is the 20th anniversary this year of this circuit. Opened in 1999. It's hosted all sorts of racing over the years. Last weekend it was Supercars and Super 2 and Super 3 and the like. This weekend it's the Shannon's Nationals, headlined by the car sales TCR Australia Series. On paper, looks really simple. 6 turns, it doesn't look that difficult, but it's got a bit of everything for everyone. It's hard to set up for, and the UV light here can change the grip unbelievably. We'll be on board with John Martin in the Honda Civic as we take off now on this warm-up lap. It is a half-hour race, the first of 3. This weekend, round 4 of the series, and there's a few stories, Greg Rust, who's joined me in the box, emerging from the pit lane. I just had a report on the way up here that Aaron Cameron's Volkswagen Golf GTI, and I can see down in the pit lane, there's a report that he's accidentally set the firebomb off in that car, and I can see on the pit apron a range of extinguisher foam. All of these cars have an emergency fire extinguisher system that a driver can press the red button to blanket the car with extinguisher foam in the case of a fire. It sounds like he might have accidentally hit that button and that car won't start.
Just maybe just in the moment, maybe a little pre-race nerves or something. We see this start or warm-up procedure once again from Will Brown, grabbing that handbrake, generating some temp into the rear tyres. We look at the stories that Aaron's detailed at the end of the lane. So there is Aaron Cameron.
Yep, he's made it to the end to start from pit lane. And we're on board with James Moffat, so it's been a tough run for GRM in these Renaults with Chris Pither not starting. Engine change for that car. He'll be back tomorrow. But what an amazing up and down that Moffat's had. I mean, crashed into in practice at the last round at the bend, thought he might be out for the weekend. They patched the car up. They went to Bunnings to get some stuff to fix it, and he managed to get a pole position and on the podium over the course of the weekend, and now he's got this drama. He's second in the points coming into this race, so that's really going to hurt, and it opens the door for Dylan O'Keefe, who's 4 points behind in the Alpha, to really make some ground and move back into the second spot that he lost by virtue of having a tough one at the bend.
From the onboard there a moment ago, you saw Jordan Cox this weekend. Of course, he's made the switch, competing in Alpha machinery, but he was looking ahead to the Honda that he raced last time out. So it's a switch. They're all, as detailed on the grid, the balanced performance measures, they're excellent in this category. But it's still, whilst that sort of governs things like horsepower, the cars all do subtly deliver things in different ways. We get to see at certain tracks one maybe having a slight, advantage over another. It's really cool.
The basic premise of the category is the same. Everyone is front-wheel drive. Everyone has a maximum engine capacity of 2 litres. They're all turbocharged, about 350 horsepower. But from there, there's different styles, there's different shapes, there's different noises. That's the great thing about TCR. There's 8 different brands represented on the grid in this category here this year. Cars lining up for this first race in round 4 of the series. 40 series points on the line. Remember that it's Will Brown who leads by 125 points. He starts on the second row of the grid. And here is the debutant, Jordan Mickles, in the Honda Civic Type R from New Zealand, lining up on the grid just behind Leanne Tander and just above, in the front row in front, Jason Bright. Lots of experience between those two and a very young Kiwi driver learning the ropes. We're good to go. Race 1, round 4. The International Invader is on the pole. J.K. Vinay in the Audi, ready for a run. Can the Aussies beat him down to turn 1? Doesn't look like it. The Audi is rolling quickly. O'Keefe from the second row has made a great jump. Delberto's looking to get down the inside on Will Brown, but it's the Melbourne Performance Centre run Audi that leads the way through turn 1. The Frenchman is off and running, and the Aussies are fighting among themselves.
Elbows out for Dylan O'Keefe. He's made a nice start as well, fighting for second position. Doesn't quite have it at the moment. He's boxed. He's out wide now on the run down. That's given Will Brown a bit of an advantage. All the while, Vinay has bolted. Look at this. Bit of weaving from Martin left and right. I don't know how that will be viewed. And down comes Brown into third position. Little bit of a lock break. They don't want the Frenchman to get away here.
Remember that he's not fighting for the series. They don't want him to grab the trophy. They don't want him to grab those points. It's already settled into a little bit of a routine. Martin second, Will Brown next, then O'Keefe, then Delberto, then Russell Ingall, Jordan Cox next in the second of the Alphas, and Vinay a little slow on the exit of turn 4, and that's given John Martin, the former Formula 4 champ, a big run on the back of the Audi as they head to turn 6. The Frenchman parks it at the middle of the road, and meanwhile Brown's down the inside to fill the gap on the Honda, the series leader. He said he's not racing for points, he's going for wins, he's going for trophies, and he's got himself in big drama. He's off the road.
It may have damaged the left front as well. He's lost a huge amount of ground, the series leader. Has he got a puncture or something?
Yep, badly damaged. Left front is crippled. Will Brown, the series leader. We admire the bravado. We admire that he's going for the points and the results, but it's bitten him this time around. And this is a free kick for the field. James Moffat's in the race. He's running around a long way back in the pack. We jump on board with Russell Ingall, and he is fighting hard. He is covering off Jordan Cox in the Alpha, who looks to the outside. Behind him is Heimgartner in that Holden Astra, the Kiwi. Swap of cars this weekend for him. Out of the Subaru, into the Astra, and having a crack at the Alpha.
Russell said to us before the start of the race he thought he had a car underneath him that could have challenged for pole position. He was smiling brightly, and it's his teammate that's leading the way for the Melbourne Performance Group. Good battle going, and out wide, someone's run wide. In fact, the Honda in the middle part of the circuit has gone off. Martin, is it?
Damage to the front right of car 24, so they're dropping like flies in the early part of this race. Major damage. Will Brown's limping the Hyundai around. In fact, he's gone through the link road at the final turn. He shortcut the track, from turn 3 in a bid to get back to the pits. Vinay leading 2 laps in. 1.8 seconds is the lead. Back to Tony D'Alberto. O'Keefe's with him. Ingles right there. Heimgartner is P5 in the Astra. Now for Will Brown, even if he doesn't finish this race, he will retain the series points lead, but that's not what he wanted. Safety car is being called. Our timing screens have gone yellow, and the safety car is coming out here. John Martin's made it back to the pits. The right rear has huge damage. That wheel's buckled. Will Brown's back in as well as we go into safety car.
So it's Vinay who will control the field. The ANCAP Hyundai safety car gets released from pit lane here at Queensland Raceway. And man, have there been some key stories for big players in this sport early on in the first of 3 races for the weekend. Martin, Will Brown. We talked about the issue for the Renaults and for James Moffat, of course, and Chris Pither. So both the Hyundai and the Honda back in the lane. The crews go to work there. We'll get updates for you very shortly.
Big news in the series, Greg, with this car sitting where it is in the pit lane. They're trying to tape it back together. He was making the dive on John Martin at the last turn because Vinay had covered off Martin, who had gone to the outside to sort of try to set up the exit, really, coming off the turn, but kind of forgot that Brown could fill that gap. That's what he did, and I'd say there's been a touch there because it's the right rear of the Honda, it's the left front of the Hyundai, so that makes sense that there would have been some contact. We were looking out the pit lane, out our commentary box window to the track. There was all sorts of stuff going on, but it is the Frenchman who leads the way here at Queensland Raceway. We're under safety car. Take a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll get a restart in just a sec.
Under safety car, if you've just joined us live here as a part of round 4 of the Shannon's Nationals, round 4 of Car Sales TCR Australia, and the reason for it involves some of the big name guys in terms of the championship fight. A couple of other stories worth following. Andre Heimgartner, of course, has stepped in from a Subaru, the Kangan Institute Subaru that he's been running in recent time, to take over the car that Chelsea Angelo has been running. That Astra, they have some engineering support from the Astra customer team in Germany here helping them this weekend, and it's made a difference. Heimgartner is in 5th place behind Russell Ingall. The view from on board with Will Brown.
Restart this time by Greg. So the safety car's pulling away from the field. J.K. Vinay, the Frenchman, will hold the pace. Tony D'Alberto behind. Will Brown's back on the road, but he is 1 lap down at the tail of the field. Restart this time around. The Audi leading, the Honda second, Alpha next from Audi with Russell Ingall in 4th. Plenty of action. There's Will Brown. Damage to that left front tyre replaced. Off and rolling again. Safety car's back in the pits, and we are back to green flag racing. And it's the Audi that leads the way. He established a really handy lead on cold tyres. Can he do it second time around? He knows this car unbelievably well. This is the sort of car, exactly to the car, that he races over there. It's not a different model. It's not a different variation. It's the car. It's the Audi that leads the way. Down the back straight. Really now, it's all about, when you see these drivers weaving down the straights, they're trying to just grab that extra little bit of tyre temperature in the Michelins and not be cold with the rear tyres, particularly when they ask a bit more of these cars. Nice work by Jason Bright, given the limited running and qualifying. He sits currently in position 9. And Russell Ingall, he is potentially eyeing up a podium finish here. The Enforcer. They haven't let Vinay completely get away. He's got a couple of car lengths at the moment. And it was really only, he made a little error earlier before the safety car on the run on the exit of turn 4 that got Martin close, that got Brown close, and that set up what happened down at turn 6. Here's Aaron Cameron in the back of the grid on his way through.
Nice to have you with us here at Queensland Raceway live on SBS, and we welcome viewers watching all around the world for that matter. Round 4 of Car Sales TCR Australia. You are riding with the fast Kiwi, Andre Heimgartner, currently in 5th position. We've had a restart, of course. Jean-Carl Venet, JK leading the way from Tony D'Alberto. Dylan O'Keefe sits in 3rd position. Some good sectors popping up for O'Keefe. That's the second of the Hyundai's Car 11 being driven by Nathan Morecambe. Now, Will Brown is well down the order. You would have seen that before the break. This is for 2nd position. Look at O'Keefe starting to hustle, starting to pressure Tony D'Alberto. They don't want Venet to bolt here.
O'Keefe needs to remember, though, he's in the title fight. He's 3rd in the points. The 2 drivers in front of him in the points are way back in the pack. James Moffat, 2nd in points, 14th. Will Brown, tyre replaced on the Hyundai. He's back in the race, but he's 16th and he's 1 lap down. Big chance here for Dylan O'Keefe to grab a nice fistful of points and pull back that margin before the 2 races tomorrow. I
reckon that'll be the message too from Barry Hay and from the Ash Seaward crew, won't it? So nice job at the moment. Venet extends, you can tell. Good work by Russell Ingall, sitting in 4th position. And definitely an improved performance. They've got some German engineering support this weekend at Kelly Racing. An improved showing, despite what's happened for others in the field here, by Heimgartner, by Willow in those cars. Both of them running in the top 7.
They've had issues with the engines in these cars and the management system and misfires and the like, but a technician from the Lugner Motorsport team that managed and run these cars in Germany in TCR is here this weekend. In fact, he called short a United States holiday by 2 days and left his family in the States to come here to Australia. And talking to Alex and Andre, they feel like the tweaks that he's made has improved these cars, and they're definitely up in the mix. They are more competitive today. Andre Heimgartner's driving the car that Chelsea Angelo normally drives. We're looking forward to seeing Chelsea back in that car in upcoming rounds, but Rulo's in the game here as well. We're right on board with Jordan Cox. He's between the 2 Astras on board the Alfa Romeo, but it's Jean-Carl Venet, the Frenchman in the Audi, who is driving away. He's building this margin slowly but surely, Greg. 1.3 seconds at the line this time around. This is the car that Garth Tander won the first race in the last round with at the Ben Motorsport Park. It goes good on Saturdays in TCR.
It certainly does, and the way JK drives it as well. You and I went down, played race fan at turn 1 for practice. He makes it boogie. He makes it dance through turn 1. He gets a little bit of ground through those opening 2 corners. It's a joy to watch.
It's the confidence in knowing what the car's going to do. He's really well versed in front wheel drive, in getting the rear tyres warm. Here's Russell Ingall, teammate for the weekend in that Castrol-backed number 100 car. I couldn't help but think of the irony today, because Russell qualified 5th. He was only a 10th from pole position. He went 280 on supercar rounds and got 1 pole, and in his 2nd TCR round, he very nearly grabbed 1. He would have loved $1,000 too.
He sure would have. We want to say a quick good day to his wife, to Julia, who is no doubt watching the coverage. A very keen, very good photographer. Your husband's doing a ripper job at the moment. Let's get an update from the lane, Cam.
You asked a question about Dylan O'Keefe and whether they're going to be aggressive or just hold on with the series points in consideration here. Barry Hay, what's the word with Dylan O'Keefe?
Well, we're just watching what we do at the moment, except Biggest Warriors, the old enforcer behind us, so you only need to have 1 slip up, and when you're passing in these things, they can find you pretty easily, so just hang back, last couple of lanes will attack, and just watch out for the old boys.
Maz, I believe you've also sought clarification about Will Brown's shortcut of the circuit, is that correct?
Yeah, we don't normally get into that sort of stuff at all, but, you know, in a shortcut of circuit, obviously you get back to the pits, fix your car, get back out to the circuit faster and just get points back. So I think it's under investigation as far as I understand at the moment, but it's sort of a bit driving on the one, so that's the way it is. So we'll see how we go.
See you go. Series rivals, they always ask the question. Emma.
David Clark, not the greatest news for John Martin, but Tony D'Alberto up into 2nd, looking pretty strong.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job there. We've felt this weekend we've had a good race car. Didn't quite match the other boys in qualifying, but yeah, it's all ahead of us now. We'll work on it. He'll keep chipping away.
How can he close that gap? That Frenchman is pretty far ahead.
Yeah, he is, but give us time. We'll work on it. He's got a lot of years there. We'll, it'll get there.
Nice one. Good luck.
Thanks.
We should point out too that regular team principal David Wall's not here this weekend. He's got they're busy at Wall Racing. There's a race meeting at Sydney Motorsport Park that he's looking after some customers there, but his squad is in very good hands. Here's Aaron Cameron, started from the pit lane in the number 2 Melbourne Performance Centre Volkswagen. Comes into the Series 6 this weekend. He's put a move on Jason Bright. That's for position 8. But Venet has built the margin, 2 seconds with 9 laps down. Half-hour timed races in Car Sales TCR Australia. If you've not seen the series before, front-wheel drive, turbocharged, pocket rockets, 8 different brands in the field so far this year in the Australian Series. In its inaugural season, it's round 4 of 7 in the Shannon's Nationals. And Russell Ingall, he is on target here to have a crack at the podium. And you know what? You take Tony D'Alberto, who's a former Supercars main game driver, endurance driver now for DJR Team Penske. Dylan O'Keefe, young guy on the way up, Super 2 TCR. And you put all their experience together, not even close to this guy.
There he is, the enforcer, down to the mid part of the circuit. And if you don't think those eyes are wide, if you don't think he's trying harder than ever, he's driving like a man half his age, isn't he? He's doing a ripping job.
Last time I saw him on the podium here at Queensland Raceway, I think it was with Paul Morris's team, and he cracked a tear that day. If he's on the podium, there might be another tear or two.
He'd love it. Meantime, up in front, as we detailed there before, championship points, or does he? So we're hearing that there may be some action in relation to car 30, which is Will Brown. Black flag being shown to Will Brown. So that, I'd say, is a follow-up to what Barry was detailing there before about the shortcut of the circuit. So Alex Davison, who's involved in the sport in a driving standard sense, the officials that work as a part of this have obviously reacted, Noons, to that.
Well, it's clear. Yes, he's a wounded car. Yes, he's limping along at a slow speed, but he has gone from, if you've not been familiar with Queensland Raceway, here on the exit, this is a good chance for us to have a look here. On the exit of turn 3, just to the driver's left as they're coming out of this turn, you see a bit of bitumen there, a bit of a link road. That's where he drove through, and it brings you out at turn 6. So he was able to limp around, come into pit lane quicker. He did go down a lap still. He's taken a drive-through penalty now and rejoins exactly where he was, bar one spot, because John Martin, who, remember, he had a clash with, has picked up one spot on him, but he is also one lap down the Honda.
What a performance by J.K. Vinay. Margin, 2.3 seconds, I think it is, back to the battle of Tony D'Alberto, Dylan O'Keefe, and then Russell Ingall fighting for that final spot on the podium. So he has really shown them how it's done so far in Car Sales TCR Australia. Great addition to the sport, and I said to him, we'll catch up with him during the coverage over the rest of the weekend. I said it's awesome to have him here as a part of the championship. He's enjoying his first visit to Australia as we go back and have a look at Jason Bright fighting with Leanne Tander. He makes the move. They go side by side into turn 1, but Bright will be in the perfect position for turn 2. And I said to JK, it would be nice to think that we could also maybe send our champion, our inaugural series champion, OS, for some racing at some point too in TCR. That'd be quite a cool thing.
That's the beauty of this category. You can take your car and race it anywhere, or you can jump on a plane and go and find a TCR race pretty much anywhere around the world. Cameron down the inside here on Alex Rouleau. Oh, contact here. Bright and Tander together. Leanne's off the road at turn 3. They were fighting under brakes on the way in, and we moved to have a look at the Cameron and Rouleau fight, and there's been some contact between the Audi and the V-Dub. Wouldn't mind seeing again a replay there of what had happened, where, why and how. Let's have a look here again. So Cameron was putting the move on Alex Rouleau. And there's contact between Bright and Tander. Leanne has managed to get going again, but back to 14th in the race.
I think that'll be a post-match investigation, post-race investigation. Yep. Just how far...
was Bright in far
exactly.
enough, or was he not quite in far enough?
It's just hard to tell from that, isn't it?
So they're already had the contact on the way in before they come into our camera shots. So this is the fight for second. D'Alberto, Dylan O'Keefe. Ingles just dropped away just a little bit in the Audi. Then Heim Gurren in the Astra. Jordan Cox next. Then Nathan Morgan, Aaron Cameron, Alex Rouleau, Jason Bright. Moffat's 11th. Remember, he started from the pit lane. So they're fighting back from dramas with the Renaults. If you've just joined us, only the one Megane in the field today. Chris Pither had overheating problems in qualifying and they've changed the engine, or they're in the process of changing the engine to get him back out there for tomorrow.
I saw some fresh coolant being prepped in the pit lane for that car before, and it was none other than Gary Rogers. And he said, I'm on the tools, mate. I'm on the tools.
When your name's on the team, you'd think you'd be able to get someone else to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah. He loves it. He just loves it. Masterclass from J.K. Vinay. If you've just joined our coverage, it's the midpoint of the first ever season of Car Sales TCR Australia, and we're delighted to have an international star in this class of racing join us. And he did a great job in qualifying to grab the check and to keep the money from the locals, and he is driving. It's sublime at the moment, this performance.
The Frenchman was the 2010 Indy Light Series champ in the US. You know the guy who he beat to that title? James Hinchcliffe, IndyCar race winner, well known here in Australia for his time in IndyCars and coming out and doing the Gold Coast 600. I think he's getting married this weekend, the Canadian, the Hinch, the mayor of Hinchtown. Russell Ingall here, we are riding on board with the Audi down the end of the back straight. He's got a fair margin back to Heimgartner, who's sitting 5th in that Astra, and the solid result of the year that they needed at Kelly Racing to his Astras along. Great to ride on board the RS3. Russell Ingall, his car run by Melbourne Performance Centre. Troy Russell and his team, one of the first to jump at TCR Australia. They've got 3 Audis and a Volkswagen in the field, so 4 of the 18 cars. It's a fairly handy percentage.
And they're immaculately prepared and very, very well presented when you walk down to that pit setup. Russell Ingall doesn't miss a trick. He said in Thursday's track walk when he had a good look around that the modifications they've made, the widening of the sort of curbs and things like that, the exit areas of this circuit has changed some of the lines, the way that people attack it. And he said, you give a race driver room like that, they're going to use it.
The last thing you do is give them something more than they had before, because they will absolutely use it. Vinay's winning at 3.7 seconds is the margin. I don't know if this podium is sorted yet, because Ingram's hanging in there with Dylan O'Keefe. And the trend for this Alpha is it's a rocket at the start or it's a rocket at the end of the races. So he's trying to attack D'Alberto. He's trying to fend off Ingall.
Playing a points game, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he has to here, because this is a good chance to earn back. 3rd place, it's worth 32 points. Will Brown at the moment, since P17, that's worth just 8. That's handy. I mean, he's got to find 129 to get back to Will Brown. He's just going to have to take it in any fight that he can.
And add to that, James Moffat currently down in 11th position, so this is a good chance, a good yield for him. As we go back to Russell Ingall, as Noon said, this is not done yet. He's just playing a waiting game, a watching brief at the moment. Car looks sharp, I've got to say. Car number 100, celebrating a special milestone year for Castrol. And he's been a figure that, you know, along with Victor Bray, along with Gary Rush, along with Larry Perkins, indelibly linked to that brand, hasn't he?
Yeah, big time. Long relationship. Remember that he won Bathurst with Larry in 95 and 97 with those colours. Vinay's cleared away. 4.3 seconds. He's taking margin every time. But this is the fight for the podium. 2, 3, 4. Honda, Alfa Romeo and Audi. That sums it up. That's the beauty of TCR. Bit of everything from everyone.
Go time certain, as Noon's alluded to before, given the safety car period that we've had. So it's the focal point for us is the fight for the final spot on the podium, and that is because that beautiful blue car, which was so good last time out at Tailem Bend in the hands of Garth Tander, is leading here at the moment in the hands of the Frenchman, J.K. Vinay, Jean-Carl Vinay. He has a lead of 4.4 seconds. He just kept extending it the longer this race has gone on. So O'Keefe, a good chance for a nice haul of points here in the title fight. Ingall looking for any window of opportunity. Positive stuff for the Astras of Heimgartner, most definitely. And Jordan Cox, that's a solid debut as he's made the switch between the last round and this one from Honda to Alpha Equipment.
And James Moffat's managed to really make up from starting from the pit lane. He's 11th in the Renault and fighting with Jason Bryan for that last spot in the top 10. On board with Jordan Cox in the car that Jimmy Vernon drove in the first few rounds of this year's series. He's out for the weekend. Jordan is in. We will see Jimmy back, the former Toyota 86 Racing Series champion, behind the wheel of this car for the next few rounds. That was close.
Heimgartner, he must have a problem.
The Astra slowing. It is slowing to a standstill on the exit of turn 3. He's pulled over to the right-hand side, halfway down the back straight. And that was really close, because if that Alpha was any closer when that Astra failed, that could have been a shunt.
Just massively lost power or something coming out of turn 3. He's rolling to a near stop before they get to turn 3. Turn 2, I should say, is where it happened.
Yeah. And he's pulled over on the grass in the braking area. Here he is. We just said how well the Astras were going. Oh, jinx of the commentators. What a shame.
He's been since, he started the championship, of course, in a Subaru. They've had some issues with that car wallet. And we're hearing from pit lane that it's an engine issue of some kind for this car. So
he's not having much luck at the moment.
No, he's not.
Engine drama in the Subaru. Didn't even get to race in the last round. We were on board with Jordan Cox live when this happened. And there it goes there. And luckily, he was already in the mid-track. He might have sensed something wasn't right. But Jordan Cox was able to use the racing line on the exit of turn 2. There is the Astra. It's parked, so everyone moves up a spot. Cox to 5th, Morcom to 6th, Cameron next.
It's 6 seconds. The gap between Vinay.
D'Alberto has dropped a spot here. Ingle is through. O'Keefe is through. There's the Honda back to 4th. So I thought I saw out the commentary box window a change. So O'Keefe's to 2nd, Ingle to 3rd. D'Alberto drops off the podium to P4.
So more follow-up. We'll cover these stories for you in the lead-up to tomorrow's action, and if we can this afternoon. So
hearing that D'Alberto ran off the road down at turn 1, and looks like it's a little dirty in the front splitter section of the Civic Type R. There it is, car number 50. So a podium position's gone begging for TD.
Russell Ingle
on the podium.
On the podium. And good points for Dylan O'Keefe in the resumption. Remember, he had a tough round last time out at Tailem Bend. It wounded him. This is really good for him.
And remember too, progressive grid in TCR. So where you finish this first race today is where you start race 2 tomorrow. You don't have to re-qualify. The great bugbear of Russell's whole career. He doesn't have to do qualifying. He can race from the second row of the grid tomorrow when we go racing again. 2 more races tomorrow live on SBS from here at Queensland Raceway. We're on the run home in this first race in round 4. Plenty of action. Series leader with dramas. International star out in front, uncatchable. And the rest fighting for the scraps.
Just intrigued to know whether Alex Rouleau has been told just to take it easy in the 62, the second of the Astras. He doesn't seem to be able to... he's back in 8th position at the moment, quite a distance back from the likes of Aaron Cameron, and the car doesn't look as racy as it did, I don't think, at the beginning of this race. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Meantime, Vinay's margin is 6.78 seconds. As we said before, this is a masterclass performance. Back to O'Keefe. Ingle on course for a podium finish. Awesome stuff by the enforcer. Then D'Alberto. Jordan Cox, not a bad debut. He'll be wanting more than that, but I mean, it's a solid start to the switch, isn't it?
It's definitely the right way to approach things, to turn up and jump in a car like this and perform and run in the top 5. Here he is. Morcom's next, then Aaron Cameron. James Moffat's up to 9th, Bright 10th. Hey, great drive too. We haven't seen much of her. Alexandra Whitley, the Kiwi-based Aussie, Jason Bright's teammate, sits in 11th place. She's done a really nice job all year. Has been very calm and consistent. She's done a good job.
Yeah, sure has. Whitley's certainly done a very, very good job. So let's have a little look here going into turn 1.
That's D'Alberto. That's what he did. Yep, turn 1, off the road. Handballed the trophy to the enforcer.
I'll take that. Says Russell Ingle.
Won't give it back either.
No, exactly.
John Calvinet at the line this time. Out in front, has built a big margin. The longer this race has gone, the bigger the margin the Frenchman has been able to build. It's 7.4 seconds with 1 lap to go. So we will fit the full race laps in. Still a few positions up for grabs. Cameron's through to 6th on Nathan Morcom. Jump on board with Ingle, car 100. The Castrol Audi made his debut in TCR in the last round at the Ben Motorsport Park in South Australia, his home state where he grew up, of course based up here in Queensland these days, so this is something of a home round for him. On our way home in this first race in round 4. 7 rounds, 21 races this year for this first season of car sales, TCR Australia. Plenty of action in the first few laps again. The race has settled into something of a pattern here, and has been a French pattern because John Calvinet, our visiting driver, is out in front. He's on his way to the final turn now, bringing it home for victory for the Melbourne Performance Centre team for their second win of the season. Garth Tander drove this car to victory in race 1 in the last round at the Bend, and it's the Frenchman who arrives on debut in TCR Australia and has street of the field. The Aussies will have to step up tomorrow. He takes race 1 at Queensland Raceway, fastest lap of the race. Dylan O'Keefe, 2nd place in the Alfa Romeo. There's good points for him. That'll get him back to 2nd in the series And Russell Ingall makes it 2 Audis on the podium. The Enforcer finishes in third. D'Alberto fourth, gave away a podium. The Honda was off the road at turn 1. But it's this man, Jean-Carl Benet. He's been a champ in all sorts of different cars around the world. He races these cars in international TCR competition. And he adds a win in Australia to his resume. Final winning margin, 7.95 seconds. That is a big margin in a sprint race that had a safety car period in the middle of it. Will Brown did finish 1 lap down in 16th after that contact with John Martin. Martin finished 15th. Let's recap the order. 2 Audis on the podium. Jordan Cox, nice job, P5 from Aaron Cameron, who started pit lane and finished 6th. Nathan Morecambe, Alex Rullo, Moffat from the pit lane to 9th in the Renault. Jason Bright, tough weekend for him in the top 10. His teammate, Alexandra Whitley, next from Jordan Mickles. Then Leanne Tander, who had some contact with Jason Bright. Molly Taylor in the Subaru. Dramas for Martin and Brown, but they did get some points. Heimgartner, though, engine drama in the Astra. Plenty of action here at Queensland Raceway. When we come back, we'll chat with our top 3.
Cars are back in pit lane here at Queensland Raceway. The top 3 about to be presented with their trophies following race 1, round 4 of the Car Sales TCR Australia Series. JK, welcome to Australia. What a way to start things here. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. No, the car was great. I was really focused on taking a good start. And so this car is brand new to me, and I need to adjust a little bit the clutch and everything. But no, I'm very happy. The rhythm was very good, and I just tried to be very consistent. I mean, nothing to say. Big thanks to Audi Sport Australia, of course MPC. I mean, the team did a great job, and I think it's a good way to start here. I'd have to see now some kangaroos, and then the trip would be good.
That's awesome. The car clearly, you've adapted well to the circuit. The car felt good, and you're in. The way we have our progressive grid formula, you can't be in any better position to start race 2 tomorrow. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Tomorrow I have to do the same, good start again. And I was a little bit worried because I never seen a grid lap position like this, like on the same level. So you don't have so much, P1 or P2 was pretty much the same. So I was really focused on the start. And now everything went well. Big thanks again to the team. And I'm very happy. Thanks to TCR Australia also to welcome me. I'm very happy to be here.
All right, well, he's got the pole position check from Astron Tech now. He's about to get from Patrick Diaz, Motorsport Manager for Michelin Asia Pacific, our Race Winners Trophy. Congratulations to Jean-Carl Venet. We will move to second position just while he's enjoying that. To the Spider-Man, Dylan O'Keefe, who takes second today. That's a great points haul at an important time in this championship. That's what you wanted to do, didn't you?
Yeah, the aim for this weekend is to obviously close the gap to Will in the championship. We closed a little bit in this race, but obviously not enough. So great starting position for tomorrow off the front row. Hopefully I can go with the Audi tomorrow. I'm sure we will. We had good pace at the start. However, just with these Queensland conditions, the engine couldn't keep up and started to lose a bit of power. But good pressure on TD, and he made a mistake, so happy with second.
All right, well, here is your second place trophy, courtesy of Patrick Diaz from Michelin Asia Pacific. And while he enjoys that, there'll be no happier face than this bloke here on the podium. Second time in TCR. How good's that feel?
Hey, I reckon it's been a while between drinks since you interviewed me on a podium, wasn't it? It's been a while, yeah. Fantastic. Great news. There was a bit of action going on at the start, and I've got a very good coach, Rajesh Sasso, who I worked with at Walkinshaw, and he said, mate, watch out for the first few laps. And it was right. There was mayhem going on. So for once I kept it clean. And, we get a trophy and a slab of beer or champagne or whatever you get.
Exactly. We saw the replay of Tony D at turn 1. What went through your mind when that happened?
Third place. No offence. I like Tony as a good lad, but when he went off, I was punching the air. So I'm not sure whether that's a bad sportsmanship, but who cares? But, yeah, it's so dirty offline here that as soon as you get offline, you just sailed. And he just got a car length wide and off he went. So, it was really good. We've got a bit to do to catch the Frenchman there, so we'll tune her up tonight and we'll give him a stab tomorrow.
All right, well, over on the pit wall is your good buddy Paul Morris. I know you've had a big congratulations from him. Hey,
yep.
Patrick Diaz from Michelin Asia Pacific has your third place trophy. Russell Ingall, as we go to Aaron Noonan, he's pretty happy this afternoon, Noons. Cool stuff.
Great to see two Audis on the podium, Rusty, and as Dylan O'Keefe referred to as well in the wider context of this series, he's trimmed the margin to 102 points to Will Brown. Big day at Queensland Raceway. Stay with us, we'll wrap it all up when we come back here on SBS.